Hello everyone. In this in-step deep dive video, we are going to take a look at the Edit tab. It should be pointed out that InStep Studio is mainly focused on the process of converting data to remesh certain areas, simplify, and so on. So the edit tools are very much underrepresented because we feel that there are a lot of polygon editors out there that do a far better job, and duplicating that effort would just be a waste of time in general. What we are going to show here is the basic process by which some minor data can be edited directly within InStep. And we're going to do that by using a simple model that is based on the Blender Suzanne. We're going to go ahead and import it, and you can see right away that the eye sockets here are open space. We can see the unit triad on the inside, so that triad points to the 0, 0, 0 coordinate, and it shows 1 unit of measurement along its axis. So the edit options are found on the edit tab. We can turn that on, and usually it makes sense to also turn on the edge display with Alt E. That way we can see where the edges are and we get a better view of things. The easiest way by which we can edit data is to delete triangles or create them or flip them. And what I mean with flip is, let's say for example this triangle here, if it was incorrectly oriented in terms of its normal vector, which defines which side is inside and which is out, we can simply click on it and it highlights, and we can click the flip button. And what that does, it just reverses the orientation of that triangle. So if we were to set a rotation point here with the middle mouse button, we can also turn that on with Alt and R, and then rotate it so we can see from the inside. We can now see that this triangle essentially points inwards rather than outwards. If that was not our intention, we can just hit cancel and we can undo that change. Alternatively, if nothing's been selected, we can turn on the flip option. Background shows that it's been turned on, and then we can just click individual triangles to flip them. This allows for a quick way to make a lot of changes. And again, we can see it on the outside that it's dark. So this is what would be required in order to correct orientation of triangles if we chose not to use the repair tools to automatically do that. If that is what we want, we click the accept button and make that permanent. In this case, I'm just going to click cancel to undo that. The same applies to the create and delete buttons. However, the create requires that we have a definition of points. So what we can do is we can turn on point or vertex display with Alt and V. And we can also select the filter with Control Alt V or Control Alt E to turn individual items on or off. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn Control Alt V on. And we're going to turn face selection off. Now we can go in, we can pick 3 vertices. That's one, that's another one, and then let's say that's a third one. So we've got 3 vertices selected, they highlight in red, and then we can click the create button and that will create a triangle. And the order in which we pick the triangles is important. If we pick them in a left-hand orientation, so we pick this triangle followed by this, the orientation would be reversed and we'd have to flip them. Now, if you're working with data and the points become very difficult to pick, we can go to Settings, Application Settings, and then change the point size to make it more easily selectable. So if we change this to 15, all the points become a lot bigger and it becomes easier for us to click to select them. So in this case, the orientation of the triangle follows the right-hand rule, whereby if we curl our fingers along the orientation, the thumb points outwards. So if we again create the triangle, and then if we go ahead and accept that, we see that the orientation is now correct. If we picked an order that was opposite, so we select this, followed by this, followed by this, create the triangle, we can actually see that it's dark on the outside and light on the inside. That indicates that it's not correctly oriented. Similar with the delete option, we can either pick individual triangles. Obviously make sure that the faces are selectable first. Click delete, and if that's not what you wanted, you can always click cancel. You can also turn that on and then just go in and click individual triangles continuously to delete them. One more option here is to turn on boundaries, make those visible. So if we click on boundaries, all the edges become visible where only a single triangle is attached to the data. That makes it easy for us to see where we may have missing data. We can also use the grow tool. So for example, if we select the triangle here, we can use grow to incrementally grow the selection by its neighboring triangles. If we do that again, it keeps growing. That way we can quickly select the number and then either flip or delete or whatever other option. Similarly, we can unselect all by using the ESC or escape key, and we can do a flood select by selecting one and then setting an angle, and then it'll grow until the edge to its neighbor exceeds that angle, in which case it will not continue, as you can see here. If we need to insert a point so that we can create a triangle based on a point that doesn't exist, we have a few options here. We can either directly pick from coordinates, in which case we can enter a point coordinate and it'll create that point. In this case I just selected 0, that creates that point there. Or we can also project the point onto a surface. So in this case we select that, we see down here that it says select point or surface. We're going to just go ahead and select this point, and then it asks us to select a surface to project onto, and let's just use this surface. And then it asks us to enter to accept or cancel. So we're going to hit enter, and that's create a new point where the surface and the point intersect. A useful feature is if you want to create a point at the center of multiple points. We can center of points, and then we just select multiple points, and it'll keep updating where the new point will be inserted. And then when we're happy, again enter to accept, and then it'll create that point there. And now we could use this point, for example, as a way to create a new triangle. And we can also directly pick points, so we can use the pick on surface option and then just select a location somewhere in a triangle, enter to accept, and then we can use that for other options. Beyond that, we also have the measurement tool. The measurement tool allows us to directly pick points and measure distance between them. And in this case, that's just that distance. We can see that on the inside of the surface. And we can just continue doing that to get more information. And the distance is displayed in whatever units the user has selected.